Welcome back to the VCT NA Playoffs Analyst Desk, where I'm going to break things down with my analysts. I'm Veli, Bach, and Vansili. Let's talk about it. We have a tied game right now in an elimination match between XSET and Rise. And XSET, they put off a good one over there in Split, but it was still a close one. Vansili, what did you like most that you saw right there?
At least to start things off, what I do like from Rise is that you have a change of composition. You already have a Jet coming out instead of a Sky for Shanks. So now you're going to think about it. Is it going to work out? Because now they have no more flashes going to these games. But they do have a lot of Astra control with these two players. Now it comes into this mid control and these fight on the extremities that we usually see these days on Split. But in the end, I think it was just too much there for Rise to be able to play these retakes or full splits because they don't have the kit from Sky.
And one of the things that we saw in general was the duel of Astra and Raze. I actually loved this. A lot of times on B site, they were using a Gravity Well plus a nade. In fact, one round in particular, both sides used a Gravity Well plus a nade at the same time. So you had the defensive side trying to take aggressive control of B main with a Gravity Well and a nade on top, and the attacking side was trying to catch them going for that aggressive play with a Gravity Well and a nade on top. Both teams missed, both teams peeled away, but we saw that pretty consistently, that regular deep control. There was a lot of fighting towards B main in this match. And we've seen that all day long when we've been watching Split. We've seen a lot of aggressive play towards B main.
Yeah, talking about Astra players, Bach, you remember that Def 1v2 in order to win over on B site, man. How beautiful was that?
Well, I mean, Vansili, Def has been playing so well this series.
He didn't want to lose. He didn't want to lose, man. He dropped like 30 kills that game. They weren't ready to go home for XSET. The 2v1 that he won, unfortunately, though, was a defuse that came in for Rise on that B side. But what was good for XSET at least is that it made it expensive for Rise in the next round. What happens in the next round, though? Rise pushes forward, drops the spike, and in the last 10 seconds, XSET rushes to the B site and actually drops like I think 3 or 4 players, which means the round after, even if Rise won the round, they're playing Spectres, they had Shanks on a shorty with a Blade Storm, and that didn't work out. So then the Rise has to play for scraps to be able to play for into overtime. So again, I think, yes, I gotta say, like the Jet worked a bit because there was a lot of first bloods from Shanks, but overall, not enough utilities versus XSET.
One of the things, though, we talked about this coming into the series. The reason that rounds like that are happening is because we talked about how this could be a little scrappy.
Yeah.
We didn't feel like it was always going to be the most coordinated. It's not to say that in those situations, in those 2v2s, those 3v3s, it wasn't coordinated, but it's the situations that led to that 2v2 or that 1v1. We saw a lot of clutch play or clutch potential plays that didn't come to fruition. But there was a lot of plays where one player was having to step up, looking specifically at that Def play as one of them. That happened pretty consistently across the series.
And once again, Def, the MVP of that matchup right there, 30 kills on Astra. Phenomenal, right? But Vansili, you said that this entire map came down to the final 2 plays. Walk us through that.
That's it. Exactly what I was talking about too, right? Just hurting the economy that you saw that XSET was able to provide to Rise. Then it gets down into, okay, well, the money's now finally back as they go from a save. They win a round, but it's like, what, 12-10 at that point? You don't have enough in terms of utility or even your ults because you already used the Blade Storm like 2-3 rounds ago. So you have a lot less to play against XSET. And it just overpowers with what Def's able to do with his kit and all the flashes as well.
All right, Bach, now we're going to the 3rd map right now. We're going to Ascent. Loser goes home. Winner moves on to still fight for their chance to go to Berlin. And I'm going to hear from you. What are your thoughts right now? Which team is looking hotter at the moment?
It's tough to say. You know, going into this 3rd map, coming into that 2nd map, I was actually starting to lean Rise. I was starting to become a believer. I was going through the conversion. The therapy was really starting to work on me, but it was just because of what we saw from them in map 1. I really liked what the team brought to the table on Haven. Then we go to Split, and I'm thinking, okay, this is a map that's usually pretty good for them. Now as we go to Ascent, I'm kind of like flip-flopping back again. Like, I kind of feel like XSET has an edge here. It's a map that they play a little bit more frequently, potentially, over the long term, but in the recent history, Rise has been playing it, just not at a high success rate.
Yeah, now, I'm going to have to give some love, sorry, to Kickstar as well, because I know I gave some to Atera before. So much love to Kicks. Kicks was saying, you know what? Rise has been playing a very long day. They might be gassed out at this point. It might be an opportunity for X to take over, but I think it's still going to be Rise.
I don't think that's even going to be an excuse that we're even going to have right now. And Bach, now, as we head into this last map on Ascent, any last thoughts that you want to get out there?
I mean, you know, if we're talking predictions, I think the only prediction that's going to be accurate is that Parker is going to make fun of us regardless of what we say. So I think it's better to plead the 5th and not make a prediction here. I think it's going to be a great game. I think you're going straight Rise.
I'll fight you, Parker.
You are
sticking
for it. All right, well, he's sticking with Rise. I guess I have to make a prediction then.
You got
Let's go XSET. Let's go XSET. Let's create some tension on the desk here. I did say initially that XSET would win the series. I thought that it would end differently. I thought, if anything, it would be the middle map that goes the way of Rise, not the front map. But now that we're here on the third map, I still think it's going to be XSET series to win.
Van Silly, I'm going to have to rock with you on this one, man. Rise has been looking amazing.
Yep.
You think they're going to pull this out still? I think that they have it, man.
I gotta stick to it, man. I gotta stick. I can't be like Buck. Oh, you know, like I want to make sure I'm
it's the only time
right
I did
point.
it.
Yes. Now, especially heading over to Ascent, I'm expecting Superman to really pop off big time with that Astra. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. It's do or die for either Rise or XSET. So, Kicks and Parker, let's make it good. Take it away.
Well, thank you very much. This is the thrilling conclusion to this entire day of VCT, at least here on this channel. We've got Rise versus XSET. XSET entered as the number 2 seed into this event. Rise, number 8 seed. And they've already knocked out TSM from Rise's side of things, and they're looking to do the same to XSET now. Now we go to Ascent. And this is a different map for both of these teams, Michael.
Yeah, it's statistically in recent history been better for Rise. Again, if you zoom out a little bit further, maybe it could be favored for XSET, but as of late, in the last month and a half or so, Rise have been looking pretty good here. In fact, the last time they played this was yesterday against Sentinels, and Rise won against Sentinels on Ascent. So we'll see. Both teams typically bring the same exact lineup of agents, and we'll also find out if that's going to be the case here. The only difference really is that Rise uses Phoenix and Sky interchangeably. So on their side, they are going to lock in that Sky and no Phoenix to be brought. And looks like, yeah, we have the exact parallel here.
All right, well, these this nice mirror matchup that will show up. It keeps Shanks on that Jet agent he's been so successful on so far today.
Mm-hmm.
I am cautious about how Neptune is going to play this one. Raze is not an agent that I think has done him super well so far today. Looked far more comfortable on the Phoenix in the way that the rest of the team was able to play around that, but we'll see exactly what can be done in regards to the Sky pick coming in.
Well, he's been playing well on Sky too. We saw him do that earlier, and you know, Sky and Phoenix, they get switched up between each other these days. So I'm just happy he's not on Raze, Parker. I'm sorry, I hate to say it. I'm happy he's not on Raze. I think he's going to do a lot better anywhere else.
Well, we'll let's watch right now, because this is a very quick assault from XSET as they take control of B, but Rise trying to swat them away. Superman unable to connect that first shot, poised in between a rock and a hard place. Down in the back of the site, he is completely gone. Now we'll see what XSET can do as the spike goes down. Depth still in this position, just back of sight, waiting very patiently. A shock dart goes out from Derek. That's the first kill from Rise. ECJ down. Pure are also very low on HP. Gravity well goes in. It almost gets Neptune, but he manages to evade it. Playing around that main doorway is Depth, looking left and then right with the wall in front of him. Aaron on the flank, waiting, holding that position in market. The Jet will swing in. And every single player from XSET seemed to have a piece of that by the end. They win their pistol round, and between these two teams thus far, it's XSET, the better team through pistols, and it is indeed a team ace.
That's a big difference maker, too, for Rise, who against TSM was winning pistol round after pistol round consistently, even on the maps that they lost. It just seemed like they couldn't take an L in that first round, but not against XSET, it seems. And yeah, teammates, that's pretty cool. I don't see those every day. I just love that. And speaking of, we were talking about the team, we're talking about the overall setup there for XSET. The fact that they managed to keep themselves one man up through that entire engagement on B is massive, because it means you have that little X factor of Aaron coming from behind in market. Clearly, Rise were not prepared for that. And looks like we have ourselves a technical timeout. I was wondering what's happening there with the timer. So obviously something to be resolved, and hopefully we'll get it sorted ASAP.
One thing that I will say is that while this is the first timeout that's been taken so far between either of these teams, the first timeout that Rise, I guess, has technically taken, because I suppose both teams are taking it at the same time.
It counts in a way, sure.
We'll give it to them.
Yeah. It's the first one technically taken by production, but we haven't seen a lot of them. Both of these teams, appear to be, trying to lean heavy into their momentum. It's a go, go, go kind of attitude. And yeah, I mean, it's again, these teams are similar in more ways than just the colors in their logo. I made that joke earlier today, but it's true. The way that they're playing, the aggression that they're bringing out, the kind of dogpile attitude to just throwing everybody at the problem. It's been working out better for XSET, which is weird because it's almost like you're taking the tool that Rise used against TSM away from each other, away from them. Is anyone else noticing that this tower is lopsided?
Yeah. It's like the whole point behind the map is that everything is. It's all just like floating platforms that have been blown up. Michael, did you see that? That lamp is on an angle.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. No, I'm not talking about like lopsided, like at an angle. I'm talking about like it's not symmetrical. Like the top of the tower isn't symmetrical. Never mind. It doesn't matter. Anyway,
don't point these things out to people. They'll fixate on them.
Yeah, well, look who you're talking to. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, both teams very similar. I got it out. Wow, sorry, that's my fault.
I don't know if you saw, but there's some chatter on social media.
Oh, there's chatter on social media. Pray tell.
I know. Alert the presses. That's out of character. I get it.
Okay.
But no, there were some jokes. Obviously, when Rise played against TSM, that Rise had just stolen Sentinel's composition from the previous day on Breeze. Obviously, with Rise getting shellacked on Breeze, it was 13-3 if I remember correctly.
All right.
So, I mean, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, and they're just chameleons. But you know what? Rise has had a hell of a day, and it doesn't matter whether Rise comes out a victor here or not. Both teams like to be the underdog. One team entered as the second seed. That's XSET. I don't know if you can call yourself an underdog when you're the second seed, but I mean, I think that mentality can be so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
As for Rise, if they think that people are always betting against you, and you're never given the benefit of the doubt, it can be extremely motivating to prove those people wrong.
Yeah.
So,
it is kind of funny, Parker, that this match has been the battle of expectations, if you think about it. I mean, we discussed it at the beginning. Going into this is the underdog story, right? This is the constantly overlooked teams battling each other. And at the start, everyone's in XSET's camp. Then we swing all back to Rise's camp when they manage to get that first map. And they're looking so lethal going into map number 2 that continues on. And now it's just a big question mark. It's okay. There's no clear team in the superior position. It boggles the mind how the expectations are constantly being circumvented by both teams.
Just an update for everybody right now, full sake of transparency. The reason for this technical timeout is that Superman is having some issues with his internet stability at the moment. So he's in the process of resetting his router. So once it's up and ready and we are back in, other than looking at these beautiful scenery in front of your very eyes, we have to fill the time until we get back into the action. Only one round has transpired. There isn't a ton that we can discuss about this. While you're waiting, not that we want to chase you off of this particular stream, but to the best of my knowledge, and I could be wrong, there was a matchup between Envy and FaZe Clan going on the sister channel of Nerd Street 2 that you can go check out, and it's being casted by very good friends of ours, and colleagues Blue and Stokes are voicing the action for that. We are obviously focused on this match, so we can't tune in.
Mm-hmm. But while we get the router sorted out, get everything up and running, that's definitely something you could turn your attention to. To my recollection, and it depends on the router, typically takes around 3 to 10 minutes. Kind of, again, really depends on the router.
Or your tech now.
No, Parker.
Did you crunch the numbers?
I have just restarted many a router in my day.
It takes 3 second, 3.33 so repeating of course minutes.
Hopefully, it should be something that gets fixed relatively soon. That's assuming, of course, the restart actually is fixed to the internet problem. Fingers crossed.
To give you an update, by the way.
Oh yeah.
The FaZe Clan versus Envy match is still in progress, so you can go on over right now. Funny enough, they are on Ascent. It is still the first half, so if you are eager to watch that matchup, you're welcome to go and do so. as Veli has said multiple times on the broadcast, you can open multiple browsers. If you're on a computer, of course. If you're on your phone, you're kind of doomed. You just have to watch one or the other. So pick it.
Yeah.
You know, pick which one you want to watch. But
it can be frustrating. I'm actually...
Let me watch 2 Twitch videos, you cowards.
I feel like there's probably a way. Like you'd have to do some stuff, but to your phone probably. But it's probably doable on certain phones.
Don't advocate people messing up their phones, Michael.
I didn't say mess up your phone. I used
you didn't
a very,
say that.
very vague terminology
you suggested it.
that could be interpreted in many ways, Parker.
All right.
I want to look at the tower again because now I'm like I'm unsure if I'm second guessing myself. I have to. You know what? I'm gonna check.
We might just be moments out, by the way, from getting the game underway. If you are just tuning in and you can't see on the top, if the visual aid is not there for you, we can happily walk you through it. The very first map was Haven. It was picked by XSET. Rise prevailed 13-7. A bit of a stunning result.
Really impressive performance.
The next map was Split. That was Rise's pick, and XSET won that 13-10. Now we're on Ascent, and it's XSET up 1-0. The standout performers thus far, and this scoreboard is a little top-heavy at the moment. The best performer in the lobby at the moment is Depth, sitting at 43 and 30 deaths. The highest ADR of anybody in the lobby. Followed not too closely, but the next highest ADR in the hands of Derek, who actually has a higher amount of kills in 44 with 27 deaths. And Derek in particular has had an unbelievable performance, carried in huge part by his contributions on Split, 27 and 14.
Wait, is it happening?
It's happening. We're back in the match. Thank you so much for your patience. By the way, sometimes the gods out there remind us that we are mere mortals and we are at their mercy, especially when it comes to things like the internet. So we are back at it. Everybody is fighting fit. And with that first round, a bit of a cool down. Now, we joked about how the fact that neither of these teams took a single timeout through the first 2 maps, but you darn well know that they took the time to maybe talk strategy and talk shop during that brief pause we had. XSET still remain on attack. They're stacked up in mid right now.
You know, I guess, Parker, what that was just build up from the lack of timeouts from both teams through this entire series. Had to come out all at once.
just all of it at the same time. Just unleash the master timeout at that point.
Speaking of unleashing,
Final
here
boss
comes
of
XSET.
XSET are just going to burst on in. It doesn't work out as well. Pure, the very first casualty here, but Depth, we talked about, most damage done by anybody in there. It's good enough for 1. An Aaron now will need some work to be done, but their guns are not quite hitting their marks the way they want. 30 HP for Def to go against 33 HP for Shanks, and Def wins that one out. A pistol against the Spectre. Close round though for Rise to potentially steal that one away, but XSET converts, and they're up 2-0.
That was a close one, Parker. That's a bunch of Spectres versus a bunch of Classics, and Rise almost brought that to their favor. 1 versus 1 in the end. Could have gone either way, but unfortunately for unfortunately for Rise, Shanks decides to go for a push up the staircase, and he was hoping to catch his opponent off guard, but he didn't quite make it. So, 2 rounds in a row, but that's expected with the way that you've got this set up. XSET did win, of course, that first pistol round. Now it's going to be about even on this 3rd round. Still 2 Spectres for XSET, but that should not get in their way.
Trying for some bullet pen now through the wall next to that mid arch, and Pure can't really connect the way that he wants, even though now, take a look at it. Shanks is there. Don't know if he can still hit that shot or not at this particular moment. Def is waiting for those orbs to get ready to go. BCJ sees them on the ground. He can push up. It's not his teammates, we should know. Those are the defender Astras. It's a very, very early on set of Seekers. Shot out by Zekin, who's been having a good matchup. A rare turret kill from Toy for coming on the BCJ. Rise desperately need to find themselves on the board, especially now they've gone with a full buy. Zekin 1, Depth with 2. He's putting in some significant work. 3 from Depth. Oh my goodness. He's the sidearm to complete that one, leaving Derek to fend against the hordes of XSET, and there's still 3 of them left. Up he goes. Is it gravity well? Is he about to get sucked in? Yes, he is. But he'll continue to skate forward. Right into the nebula. Let's be extremely patient here. There's one in hell, but Def with a 4K. He's all the way back. Watching you, waiting for you. XSET up 3-0.
Def has really been the story. I think that's his... I could be wrong. I think that's his second 4K. He at least got a 3K earlier. Well done to Def. Once again, glued to his team and the hero of this story so far. You could say the protagonist. I want to know how many kills he has because we're only 3 rounds in, but he's really been putting up quite the performance as an individual. And it goes to show when you have somebody like that and you're still... Honestly, you still got plenty of bodies up. The depth here on display for XSET is substantial.
Scout destroyed.
XSET showing off what they are capable of doing. With the way that these teams tend to go, expect Rise to win this round and then bring it close. At least that's been the story so far with Rise through all 6 maps they've played today. We talk about endurance and stamina, and Rise desperately need it. They have played non-stop for the last 5.5 hours. It might be finally getting to them. We don't know because XSET is clobbering them.
Wow.
Only sacrificing Zekin. That's it. And the rest of XSET clean up on site.
I mean, just wow, Parker. And there it is, 9 kills for Def so far through these 4 rounds on Ascent. And just as a whole, XSET is looking pretty unstoppable. However, there is something to be noted here. Of course, those weapons, they are relevant. And we've got Rise, once again, in a position where they can actually fight back. You've even got Shanks on that operator. See what he can pull out with that.
Well, now the focus is going to be towards B site. Out goes the Trailblazer.
You are divided.
They don't spot anything, at least nothing that they really want. Cosmic Divide comes in from Def. Still playing around that nebula. Gravity Wells. Oh my goodness. There's just so much visually going on. All that stimulation right in front of your very eyes. And nobody's really moving a muscle. Very first casualty is Neptune. No, he just flies a little bit too close to the sun. Great shot from Shanks as he backs away, taking out BCJ. And that's the spike down as well. Hard to tell if he saw it amidst all of the smoke and confusion, the chaos that's been raining over. So is the operator in hand. And he'll get a little bit aggressive. Alarm bot waiting very patiently. That will be deployed in just a matter of moments if Shank pushes up too far. Meanwhile, all the way over on A, it's Def sitting. He'll be spotted by that owl drone and he backs away. It's a nice split here.
Shanks could definitely make something happen with this operator, and it's going to be even more pressure on him as the XSET players start stacking up. But, oh, bad timing, and Aaron's going to shut him down before he could do anything.
30 seconds
now
left.
Firm control of the B site, as it seems there's been too much of a rotate by Rise, but Derek able to catch Def, who's trying to cut off the rotation.
Spike planted.
With that kill, we go even. Aaron also very low, but he will be healed up by Zekin, so at least a little bit back in this.
And quarterbacking from all the way in Boathouse with that operator in hand. But a divide will come in. It's going to push 2 of them forward. Possibly expose them to the players from Rise. Are they being baited on in? Pure, great shot. There's 2 more lined up for him, trying through the boxes. He can't count on Zekin, and he can't even count on himself. Superman. He resets that router. And boy, oh boy, did it work. Nice play from him, and Rise picks up their first round.
Not only did it work in that round, but, I mean, we got to extend a little bit further out here. Talk about the match, or the map that we just watched on Split. Superman did not perform amazingly well, and that's in stark contrast to some of the other performances we've seen from him throughout the day. I mean, you could say the same thing even about Haven. So having Superman show up and perform well in rounds like that, getting those impact frags, as we like to call them, really does go a long way.
So far, so good for XSET, and you want to be proud of this one. We talked about how the better team statistically over the last month and a half is Rise. I mean, that hasn't mattered so far today for quite a wide variety of these maps.
Yeah.
So teams will bring it in, and also some of these teams have not played a ton of Valorant since July 1st. So for some of them, they've been adjusting to changes in meta, changes to certain agents that they use, roster changes, etc. Pure, by the way, is going to push on in, but he misses his knives, and Poised is the one to walk away surviving from that one. Poise loses some HP, but hey, he's a little worse for wear, but he's wearing it well. Neptune drops down, and so goes Zekken as BCJ finds the very first kill for XSET. Spike will need to be planted at some point, but it's being held up at the arch leading into A. BCJ just trying to deal as much damage and inflict what he can on those playing up by heaven. It's Derek to swat away any advance through that arch.
Well, the lockdowns and the Hunter's Furies on both sides nullifying each other. Knives not working out for Pure. That was a very expensive round that we just watched XSET walk away from with a bloody nose. They could still recover it, but it's not going to be easy.
No, Depth will creep on up now with the Nebula there. The door is closed, so what all can he do? Hear the bird go off. Who's blinded? Nobody now. It's worn away. 10 seconds left. XSET are losing out to the clock. One kill from Depth, but with Aaron dropping, there goes that spike. Depth is taking matters into his own hands. He doesn't have any time, and if you Rise, all you got to do is hide. Vandal out or not. Depth looking to maybe do some damage to Rise, but they can't accomplish it. All at a time, and Depth will walk away from that one.
Definitely the right call for him to just wait that out and accept the round loss, keep the Vandal in hand. Def is going to live to fight another day with that weapon, and that's substantial considering his performance so far through this map. But Rise showing signs of life. 2 rounds now. They are in this. I said it every single map now. They tend to be a little bit slower to start. So it doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to win, but at least they are starting to show up now that they've somewhat figured out what they're dealing with against XSET. Operator play here at mid. Shanks looking for a pick. Let's see if we can find it.
They need this now, but the Nebula will stop him. Cutting off line of sight from that operator being played in mid over by Pizza. Trailblazer goes out around the corner. Nice swat away onto Shanks. Down he goes. Depth capitalizes off of that, and he can continue forward. Got the control that they want of that part of the map, but for the moment, the remaining 4 players of XSET, or rather of Rise, are spread out quite well. 2 on A, 2 on B. A rotate coming in from Neptune as they suspect that an A take is in the books. It appears that that's the case. Out goes a flash. Can anybody capitalize off of it? No. Superman will swing on to BCJ all on his own. Both teams now at a 4v4. Superman picks up a double before he's taken out by Zekken. Next up is Aaron. Poise just narrowly missing out on that. He can't really do too much, playing off of that smoke in front of him. And as it will clear, he's prepared, but not able to outduel Def at all. So who's up next? Neptune? Derek? There's only 2 of you. You've got some work to be done. Aaron's in the site, and he has the spike. You can get it planted. 30 seconds remain. Aaron decides, hey, maybe it's not safe for me to do that. Probably because they've lost heaven control to Neptune. Flash comes in, trying to capitalize on it as Neptune can't do it. So now Derek's from above, and he'll shoot out that recon dart. Information? None. Zekken shuts down Derek as he heads through Garden, and that'll be it on that round. Number 7 in the books, and XSET's lead is now up by 3.
Parker, we saw some little semblance of that aggression that we expect out of Rise through that round, but it just wasn't enough. The push by main really did work out well for Rise, and I thought, honestly, that Superman was going to be able to convert that into much, much more. Got those 2 kills, and he had firm control of main, but the tree play from XSET was excellent. And I really like that instead of overextending themselves, trying to keep 2 in tree and then 1 planting by himself in sight, they decide to bunch up and go for the fights. They had time for it. Better safe than sorry.
Well, first kill this time is going to go down to Zekken, and maybe, just maybe, this Cinderella run that we were expecting out of Rise is falling by the wayside, as they are just simply not prepared for some of these duels. XSET, I would argue, beat themselves on the second round at Rise 1. So we'll keep an eye on whether that holds true or not. Well, they'll scout out this B site, determine that there's only 1 playing towards the back of Boathouse, and well, they call in the cavalry, and they show up at just about the right time, but Superman is finished off from that one. Neptune now is the next one in line. Poised in the midst of mid, he takes out 1, and it's just an absolute mess. It's Poised now to contend against him. Sitting on tiles, he'll have to retake through this B main. This won't be easy.
Now, very unlikely, but he does have the Vandal, at least for the player he killed at mid, so that's worth something. There's a turret to deal with over there by the platform out of market. Main is clear, whether he knows it or not. Caution, sees the alarm bot. Yeah, might be best for him to just keep the Vandal. Maybe punish the rotate off of sight. He walks into the alarm bot, and Aaron will shut him down.
Well, nobody wants to see this, by the way. Nobody wants a lopsided matchup, but that's what we've been treated
Not for
to.
map
Just
number 3.
not for map number 3. Not after all we've seen today. You want map number 3 to go down to the bitter end. If there's anybody right now who's trying their best to stop that, it's Def. He's got 14 kills through 8 rounds.
Yeah, he's averaging. That's a really impressive performance for him. And on Rise's side, I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of heroics. We've seen a few key moments where things could start turning around. Shanks, especially. I will say again though, like Neptune had such a good first series, and so far, in fact, he was one of the top performers for one of those maps, and you know, if not top, at least in the middle. These last 2 maps, he's been struggling, and yeah, Rise is a deep team, but they do need everyone, all hands on deck right now with these high pressure matches.
Zekin will send out his second set of Seekers, and he'll try to capitalize off of that, but can't do it. Following up on them, Poise takes out both and more, even with Bit. 4 on the board. Only 1 remains, just as we talked about it. Maybe we wrote the obituary a little bit too early for them, as Neptune gets the last one, denying the ace to Poised, but a team effort from Rise. 4K, it doesn't matter. They don't care who's getting the kills. They care that they got the round, and they can try to keep themselves on solid footing in this race for the first half here.
Great use of the Nano Swarm there. I mean, that's textbooked, to be honest. I'm surprised to be... Really, I'm just surprised that that XSET did not at least check for that, because this is one of the most... I mean, it's pretty basic. It's effective, but it's basic. Yeah, well done to the timing there from Poised.
Here goes the Trailblazer. I don't know if it saw Derek by the time it faded. I'll shoot out that recon bolt and have some information and follow it up for good measure with a shock dart that does not do what it's intended to do.
No shock.
No shock at all. Aaron blinded Neptune swings, doesn't see BCJ from above, narrowly missing out on Pure as well. As it's Shanks to get away.
It's going to be
playing
him.
by Tree.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off.
I was going to say, Shanks is stuck on Switch right now. He's trying to get out with the Cloudburst, but he's actually going to use the door, and that means that Def is not going to be able to get that belated trade. He's trying to push his way out of Garden, though, and he's got the cut. So he might even catch Poised off guard here. To find out, moment of truth as he goes for the peek, but the timing is off, and ooh, just barely misses out. Both of these players will walk away alive.
Poise doesn't want to deal with that one, so he just falls back readily. Shanks taken down by Zekin. The guns from XSET working out quite well, but we're at a 3v3 again, a stalemate between these two teams.
30 seconds left.
Zekin down below. They'll watch and do some coverage as the plant goes down, and a pop-up flash to try and blind them goes out. Doesn't hit with any of the targets that he wants, at least not in an engagement. Recon bolt will go in. And just like that, Rise's re-entry to the site will be guided by the lockdown. Poised is dead, but the lockdown will remain. Derek finds one. There's more to go. They're in the danger zone right now, and it's Zekin to be detained and finished off by Superman. And like that, Rise steal 2 rounds in a row, and the gap between these teams closes.
Wow. Every little thing counts, Parker, and that's no more evident than the round we just watched. Def, unfortunately, on his cut through Garden, really floated around and didn't accomplish very much. His lack of accomplishment, his lack of killing the killjoy of Poise ended up costing huge thanks to this lockdown. You have really 2 choices when that lockdown comes out. You'd either try falling so far back that you're going to lose firm control of the site. Oh, sorry. I just have to interrupt myself really quickly to say, ladies and gentlemen, we have the very first tactical timeout of this entire series. It happened. Clap, clap it up. I didn't see it coming, but here we are. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, the Killjoy out, the lockdown, that was really well played there from Poise. And the fact that he didn't die earlier, that's the only reason you see that happen.
So often we will see Sova ults used to try and take out that lockdown. It tends to happen a lot on Bind as well, but didn't see it here. It wasn't available to them.
They used it earlier. I think they used it like a round or 2 prior.
Yep. What? there we have it. And the timeout being taken because you get 1 per half. There's no harm in taking it. It's not like you lose anything. It's not like you gain anything by not taking it, by the way. It's not like they're like, well, you didn't take it. We're going to give you an extra round. Great job.
Imagine.
They can take the timeouts, which means that after the next 2 rounds are played, and we go into the second half of this map, XSET is free to take yet another if they so choose. I still haven't taken one just yet. A nice spray through the wall, by the way, of Derek, as he really, really loves this gun. But it's not the Ares this time. He's got the Odin in his hand. Going for ultimate bullet pen.
He likes LMGs.
Well, I mean, that's the strategy that they have employed, and they did so on Haven a number of times. I don't know exactly how successful it was in comparison to him running something else, but and they try it and hope that it can work. Depth, by the way, just missing out on a full kill onto Superman. Looks like it did some damage, but not enough. Neptune gets the very first kill. Rise still very much in this, prompting XSET to take that timeout and maybe make a correction before they ultimately end up losing full. The thing with XSET is that they didn't have the money to go with a full buy, and just slowly but surely, Rise will wear them down like erosion. Yep, Zekken and Aaron are left with Pure and BCJ dead. 40 seconds left in the round.
You can see that XSET was trying to rotate, cut off at mid, maybe go through market to B, but Rise rotated just as fiercely. They've still got full coverage, though, and that's thanks to Rise being up 2 players right now. No pressure on them to overextend anywhere. As XSET start to push in through B main, it looks like Rise will be very ready for this push.
And there they go, but Derek is also ready, and we finally get to see it in action! The Odin tearing right through them. How many bullets does he have to use? 2 kills? And he can go back for some more. Depth, though, doing some damage. Blinded now, looks the wrong way, collapsed upon by Neptune, and Rise managed to put 3 in a row. Dare I say it, Michael? A 6-6 first half looks exceedingly likely.
Yeah, it's definitely shaping up that way, Parker, and I think that Rise are looking a little bit more motivated than they had in some previous rounds. It looked like they had lost their luster, and I was kind of worried for Rise that they might be starting to, you know, slip a little bit out of their mind, out of their game sense, and you do see that from time to time when a team plays 6 maps in a day, but it doesn't appear to be fully in effect, as Rise are still here, still ready to game. Good use of the Trailblazer there to determine there's nobody in B main, and just figure out exactly what they're up against on that front. Still a decidedly B-sided stack right now for Rise.
F right now in just the middle of the map playing mid-market, and he can't connect with anything, but at least they know that he's there, hearing those shots rain out of the Vandal. Eric, and we talked about with those bullet pens, well, he does some significant damage to Pure, which will require Zekken to use the regrowth and heal Pure right back up. So, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Here goes the lockdown. You gotta use them now. You cannot hold on to them. You gotta use them or you lose them. So we're gonna see all the ultimates pop out, and right now, XSET's the one coming out on top. 2 kills on their end, another now from the Knives of Pure. Dwindling numbers for Rise. We talked about maybe a tied up first half. Doesn't look so likely now, as it's a 2v5 for Rise to try to retake on, as the spike will get planted quite adeptly by BCJ. Coverage from XSET, spread out quite evenly. They're watching spawn, they're watching aim, they're watching market, and the re-entry from Superman will be given away as he shoots away at the door. Now, this time, he's going to try to head through spawn. He starts with 1 onto BCJ. He's got 3 more. What can he possibly accomplish? Knives are still out from Pure, by the way. If Superman doesn't look to the left, he's going to get punished for it. Down he goes, and just like that, Pure dies, but so does Superman. And XSET take the first half 7-5.
Switching sides.
Well played there to XSET, managing to secure that first half. They are definitely looking like they're going to be able to carry this forward. But as we switch sides, things might start to change. Only one way to find out. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely. We have a short break for you, and then the conclusion of this matchup. Who goes on in pursuit of that 3rd spot for Berlin? Is it going to be XSET or Rise? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the thrilling conclusion of XSET versus Rise. Rise have already punched their ticket to the last chance qualifiers, so for them, this matchup is simply about the goal of making it to Berlin. And they need to finish in the top 3 as the first 2 spots were secured yesterday by both Sentinels and 100 Thieves. Michael, sum up that first half for me.
Oh, it was a mess, a very back and forth occasion. Rise put themselves in a less than desirable position when they lost that pistol round. Obviously, they spent the whole half recovering from that, but they did ever so slightly recover. It looked like it might have been a 6-6 half, but XSET managed to swap that away. Idealism not working out for Rise. And hang on real quick, XSET pushing out into mid, and oh, Derek punishing Depp for his brazenness. And that's going to be a good early pick. They'll even get Derek back up to 100 HP. And that's what you love to see if you're a Rise fan.
Dink Shanks just for a tiny bit of HP. And some of his armor disappears as well, as Rise will now move towards the B site. All those orbs getting tossed on down. The stars from Astra, and they'll cut off BCJ. But look at that.
It's free.
It's free real estate, Michael.
They're giving
Superman
it away.
getting the spike planted, and will do so behind the boxes and now assume the position as we now finally see that smoke obstruction will clear. On dash on out as information was given. Rise will have to contend against this. XSET have been the better team for pistols so far in this matchup. Will that hold true? Nanoswarm goes off, and XSET with the retake working out beautifully. It's Derek in a 1v1 against Aaron. This is going to be tense. Down to the final second, spraying through the wall. Does he have the angle? A recon dart goes out, and it should give him information. Aaron at 67 HP, Derek full. And seeing the lineup of the head deals a whole bunch of damage, but he can't fully connect. He'll need to go for the reload, and he gets it. Stopping XSET in their tracks, and with that round, Rise should hopefully tie it up.
Wow, Parker, when you were talking about how XSET being better on pistols, that's right about when they started popping way off. Rise started falling one after another. Right there, that moment where we get 3 consecutive XSET kills, and Zekin even locks that out, making it 4. Putting it into the 1v1, though, is Derek, and he cleans up just as is necessary. It's that one pick that Rise managed to get on depth in mid at the beginning of the round that made all the difference. Massive kill, and well done to Rise, capitalizing upon their opportunities.
While fighting now over this arch, and they'll continue to push forward. Still, these LMGs in hand. That's a great skin by Aaron, by the way. I like that a lot. The Omni Shorty, very, very nice. He gets flashed out, though. We're not going to look at it for much longer because he is dead. Rise sweeping in the first 2 picks, and of course, the fact that they won that first pistol, they're going to be in very good position. They've lost 2 now, though, so what advantage they had is slowly disappearing, and Zekin is making a name for himself up there on Heaven, putting in immense amounts of work. Only on 7 HP, no ability to heal up whatsoever. Spike planted, so now the timer will continue to go, clock ticking, waiting patiently for the retake. Rise and XSET, both so good on these retakes. XSET was good, but they couldn't make it be done, and there they go. All of them are down for the count. XSET thought that Rise were going to get away with it, but then BCJ jumps down as the distraction comes in from Tree, and XSET steal that round.
Zekin was absolutely harassing Rise as they came in through main, using that Sheriff to great effect from Heaven. Maybe we'll get to see some of them, maybe not. Either way, well done to Zekin. And he did 2 of those for wallbangs as well. To add insult to injury. Actually, excuse me, 3 of them were. This bit right here, though, this is what's got me really worried for Rise. Because they've lost control of Heaven. And they are worried about Tree. But both of the last 2 attackers bunching up by Generator, that doesn't offer you much opportunity for coverage, nor for trading. It's a little bit risky, and obviously BCJ, he explained why it was risky with his actions. Speaking of BCJ, the lead off for this round.
Boba Buddy not helping Superman at all. Unlucky.
F in the chat for Boba Buddy.
F in the chat, please. Def with a second for XSET as they look to try to put this one away. They do not want Rise to have any ability to come back, and do not allow them to build a lead nor gain any momentum. And as you can see, Rise were not able to buy this round after their backs had essentially been broken in the previous round.
I mean, this is... there's not much of an opportunity here. using the guiding light there. They will get a kill with the frenzy. Nice one from Neptune. Good to see that stuff. Now he's alone though. He does have Seekers, but obviously he's not going to blow that on this round. Guiding light to answer guiding light. This time it's Zekins. Neptune is blind. XSET, you talked about locking out Rise, and that's what we're seeing here.
Shanks is 4-12, by the way, on Jet. I know that we don't focus on kills and deaths that much, but if you're not getting kills on Jet and you're not making space for the rest of your team, or if your team isn't making space for you, that is not exactly the most optimal pick. I mean, very similar to everybody who's played Arena, and they have Arena that can't outduel anybody. Your whole kit is synergized with being able to get those picks and then continue to steamroll from there. Shanks has been an absolute force for Rise so far today, and unfortunately for Rise, falling off at the wrong time has catastrophic consequences. So for Shanks, it's been a bit of a rough game. Only 4 kills is just something that ultimately is a little bit too low for a Jet.
Or for Shanks,
the first kill, though. It's going to come in from Derek onto Def, so there's still some life right now for Rise.
Yeah,
XSET realize how close they are to being able to put this one away and continue to trudge on forward here through the lower bracket.
There's still some regrowth, so Derek might even be able to get healed up if he finds himself in the position to do so, but Zekin just pushing out into mid. And he's actually got a great position to catch Superman off guard, possibly get another one, but no. Great use of the shock bolt there from Derek. He'll take down Zekin. Derek's been really shining through here for his team. It's been absolutely necessary. Neptune also starting to show up towards the tail end of this map. Now it's just BCJ and Aaron on XSET. Post plant now, Rise in a decent position.
This one is far from over in this matchup. BCJ on the post plant the previous round, so strong. Can he repeat that same level of success? He's put his team onto a 2v2. Swatted away from Derek, who picks up a huge 4K. And just like that, Rise is trying to put a comeback together. They've taken 2 in a row. And they're going to need to work a little bit harder as they're still a couple rounds back of XSET.
Just like that. Well, mostly, again, Derek. Talked about him being one of the shining lights. Well, he is certainly that. Literally and figuratively, it seems. As 4K, I mean, he's picking up a lot of slack for his team. And that's great to see. But, again, the control is a little bit wonky. It's weird for Rise. Even though they won that last round, there are still some things to point at and talk about, but no time. As the action in this round starts off early, XSET going for a very aggressive play on A main. Hunter's Fury followed up by the push from Pure, and they'll both get one.
Oh my, everybody just flashed and you just go for the blind spray. At that point, XSET comes out on top with Shanks and Neptune down for the count. You heard the Hunter's Fury come in from BCJ. Derek has one in his back pocket as well, should it be required. Now, Astra being guided in by Derek over towards the A site. Floating in the middle, none other than poised. He'll head towards tree. Just by the arch. You still got some utility for a post plant if required, but you need to get control of that A site first. So the dart will go over, and it actually gives BCJ's position away. A Hunter's Fury comes out, so do the Seekers, and they'll trade back and forth. The Sova managing to defeat BCJ. The numbers dwindle as poised have been spotted and taken out. 4v2 for XSET. Knowing they're only a couple rounds away from victory, awaiting the winner of Team Envy versus FaZe Clan. 30 seconds left. Superman's got hold of the spike. I don't know what they're going to do at this point. Are they going to just save this one? Because they certainly don't have time to get to B, and with 20 seconds remaining, they're absolutely not going to get to A. So the call has been made to just hang on and save for now as they'll wait.
I think that's the right call here. Just keep the 2 guns, move them on to the next round, see what you could do later. It's tricky. It's a really tricky call to make because they're up 9 rounds right now, and this will be the 10th for XSET. So it's not an easy decision because your gap from making a recovery if your Rise is getting smaller and smaller. There really aren't going to be a lot of opportunities in the near future. And yeah, it's you got to really bite that one if you're Rise.
I mean, no player is going to tell you that they're fatigued. Most players are going to say, you know, we're so full of energy, we can go on forever. Right. But playing 6 maps in 6 hours and 10 minutes. We started the show at 5 p.m. Eastern. It is presently 11:10 p.m. 6 hours and 10 minutes of it's not even been, these have been so close that you really can't just take your foot off the gas. It's not like you had a match or two where you could coast. You have had, if you are Rise, you have had to be mentally in this for 6 hours. That's going to wear on you eventually.
Yeah, and I can't explain Shanks' lack of performance in any other way. I know that it sounds like a cop-out. I mean, this is typically the sort of stuff that you don't really talk about very much as a caster. But it is... Shanks has been a star through the day. And now right now I think he's got around 4 kills, something like that. And that's not on...
He was 4 and 14 at the beginning of this round.
I don't know if I would necessarily place that on him either. That's the tricky thing. I don't know if I'd place that at his feet because he has just been a menace today. Well, right now...
waiting, by the way.
Yeah.
A nice play here and a bit of coordination. The call will come in. Zekin with the pop flash. Depth will swing and capitalize off of this by being named. But the attacker lockdown will come in. Yep, a little bit too early. He'll continue to tap away. Zekin is there for added insurance. They'll need to take care of that lockdown. They get it. It's good as gone. And Rise's best opportunity to just dig into that site, all but gone. Pure takes out one. Shanks, 5th kill, and will now get the spike planted right in the middle of the site and walk away, though revealed at the same time. Out will go one of those pop flashes, and he'll be stuck on in. Down goes Shanks, and it's Derek in a 1v4. XSET in a commanding position right now, but Derek takes one out. Could there be more lined up for him? He's got the arrows in hand. Some damage done to him at the feet by that shock arrow. Now he'll toss out one of his own. He doesn't know how close they are, but there's 2 of them looking in the same direction, and it's an easy defusal being given to BCJ. XSET on their 11th round.
So close to that match point if you're XSET. And again, the longer it goes on, the worse it gets for Rise. Well, remember we talked about, I think it was a map ago, maybe 2 maps ago, maybe all of the maps were all. Remember we talked about how Rise does struggle with checking corners sometimes. Well, this time they didn't fully clear out B main before they committed their Killjoy lockdown to it. And that ended up being a really poor miscalculation. It happens, but there it is. Now, going into this round, looks like they're going to try and force because they'd rather force than try to fight for OT. And who could blame them? Again, if you even make it to OT, it's compounding, Parker. The longer it goes, the worse it gets if you're a Rise player.
I mean, you're just... It's a marathon. It's grueling how much you need to play, and like I said, we've had every single map played today, and they've all gone very deep into the round. I think our most lopsided was a 13-7. That's still 20 rounds required, and you're playing up against 2 top-tier teams. So it takes its toll, and it only explains it to a certain extent. At the same time, the story has not necessarily been the decline of Rise, but also the way that XSET has played, and Pure in particular, hitting his shots, every mark in front of him. All 3 kills for his team. No ace. It'll be denied by BCJ, but match point, series point for XSET.
Yeah. I mean, you said it, Parker, and I think you're right. I was just about to say the same thing myself. We need to call attention as well to the excellent play that's being displayed by XSET, because they really are putting it all together right now. I mean, Pure is not even the top performer for his team, but he just picked up a 4K, and a masterful one at that. Now, all that said, I don't know about you, Parker, but I am seeing a completely deflated Rise. I don't think that they're mentally as much in this as they have been throughout previous maps, and I'm definitely worried at this point that I mean, we're on match point, and they bring it any further.
Oh, we'll see what's left, but Pure is on an absolute rampage. The previous round was his to own, and now he's going to make a statement here as well. As XSET have their claws in Rise, and the miracle run from Rise Nation seems to be coming to an end. Cinderella story, but the clock will still strike midnight. Something about pumpkins, if I remember correctly. 4 more targets for XSET to find. Rise paralyzed by this knowledge, realizing that this is essentially do or die. They've had a triumphant day, knocking TSM out, gave them that spot in the last chance qualifiers, but it doesn't look like their trip to Berlin is going to be anytime soon.
Well, CJ, set a garden, going to use that recon darts, not going to spot those players because they are inside Cloudburst. The burst out there from Shanks as well, not going to work out, but it's just a trade. At the end of the world, oh, but great use of the operator for Cure. And now it's just Superman and Derek in a 2v4.
And he's got them lined up, but he misses that first shot. Can't restabilize. Superman with the Spectre punishes him for that.
30 seconds left.
Zekin knows that they might be just narrowing in on his position. Plant was attempted. Sound Q went out. Derek will be the one to cover this. He doesn't have any real information. Spike goes down, by the way, and now the divide comes out. It'll stop Heaven from being a focal point right now for XSET. Haven will retake from Tree. He's got some support at his side, but he'll have to clear Hell, and this is where things are going to get real dicey. Superman's sitting on top of that ultimate. It will eventually clear, but at what point? Remember, Derek is going to be the one to emerge from that gate, from the arches, and he's got even more to do now as it's a 1v2. He loses Superman, and the whole match is on his shoulders. He's been a hero for his team, but not this time. XSET vanquish Rise Nation 2-1, and they'll move on.
Well played indeed to XSET, a well-deserved win after they absolutely pummel all of the remaining fight out of Rise. What an impressive performance from Rise. I'm sure they made a lot of fans through this run today, but they just couldn't keep themselves in contention.
Just a really incredible amount of Valorant that they played today. The amount of rounds that they played, the amount of kills that they racked up, and they didn't seem to miss a beat. It wasn't until the 11th hour, at the tail end of that third map against XSET, their 6th map of the day, Michael, that it seemed like fatigue was finally getting to them, and XSET is too good of a team for you to slip up, because they will punish you for it. And that's exactly what XSET did. And because of it, they live to see another day.
Yeah, on Ascent, there were too many, as you say, slip-ups, too many mistakes, too many overextensions from Rise that were being punished. But that's it for you and I, Parker. We've got an awesome analyst desk that's got lots to dissect from that match.
Welcome back to the VCT NA Playoff Analyst Desk, and that was a big game. XSET, they're going to move on to play against Envy to see who's going to go to Berlin. It's all going to go down to that series right there. I'm going to break things down as a host, Veli, and with me I'm going to have Vansili and Bach. And fellas, Ascent was a good one, man. Close one, but still, Rise, Vansili, Rise failed, man. But still, they made us proud.
Exactly. They definitely made us proud, because there's been a few rounds where Poise, actually, we talked about it a lot, where, you know, it's been quiet throughout the whole series, quiet overall when he plays for Rise, but he had some great impact frags. I got to talk about round number 10, for example, where he got a 4K with how he held towards that B site, and that actually allowed him to get the lockdown into the round after, where it allowed, actually, Rise to get 2 rounds in a row, break the economy, and finally come back. But unfortunately, on the second half here, Buck, we saw XSET. They wanted to take the reins. They were aggressive here on the attacker side, and we saw how it was dominant.
Even looking at the first half, it did feel like XSET was controlling the pace early on. They go 4 rounds in a row before you finally see Rise get on the board. It was with a really strong Cosmic Divide retake on the B site, where they kind of fence off the backside of site so you can't get into the boathouse, and then they all have to play on site. No, I think it was a 3v2 that they end up retaking, and it works out pretty nicely. And then they started to push back. They started to find some rounds. They kept it close in the first half, but like you mentioned, once we switched over to the second half, it was all XSET. Rise basically had nothing left in the tank, and that's why the scoreline ends up being what it is.
Yep, 13-7 to Vansili. We saw it on defense for XSET. Their aggression, pushing up mid, pushing up A, it seemed like they were conditioning Rise to keep them on their toes every single time.
Yeah, exactly. I think in the first pistol round, you saw at least Rise did get some punishment onto some aggressive catwalk push, but later on, it didn't stop XSET. Def was pushing out, Zekin was pushing out, and they were actually doing a lot of good mid control, which actually forced the hand for Rise. They couldn't do anything on the attacker side, and it always came down to Derek, as you see, as the MVP for Rise, trying to do so many of these clutch situations to try to win these rounds. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough when he's always stuck in like a 3 versus 1.
All right, and take a look at the stats right there. The MVP is going to be Def once again dropping, what was it, Baka? A 30 ball with Astra the map before.
30 kills for the 30-year-old. That's how it works, right? You have 1 for every year. I think he was getting close to his age with the amount of kills he got. That's just the boomer way. We kind of work that way. The Def seriously was absolutely pivotal in the success for XSET. I mean, obviously, it's more than just his performance, though. He's the in-game leader. He's the shot caller. He's the one that's kind of leading the charge. And again, developing the young talent beneath him as well.
Yes, now Def, he deserves all the credit in the world. And speaking about credit, the Credit Karma, Instant Karma clip, oh, it's going to be a good one. I remember on Haven, and fellas, we were talking about Neptune and his Phoenix play and how he was helping out his teammates. This flash right here, able to get the kill. Jet dashes up. Pure was trying to win the 1v1, but it was all Neptune that turned back around, helped out his teammate. And that right there is the feeling of instant karma.
What's wild about that flash is Pure actually almost gets past it, but because he hears the footsteps, he tries to look down and actually eliminate Neptune, and in the process, stares right at the flash. So his effort to try to kill Neptune ends up costing him his life.
But there's some silent support there too, right? We saw the Nebula come out, the Cyber come out at the same time, so 2 more players to support all that. It was a team effort definitely for that victory.
Now, fellas, Bach, for you right now, the aim lab flick of the day, is there any play that comes to mind at all?
Well, I mean, there were so many, right? So, like, again, we saw a lot, especially when we look at the second map of that series. Split was basically play after play. We're like, oh, that's got to be the flick of the day. It's like yesterday. Yesterday, we get to that last series in the day, and we're like, that's going to be the flick of the day. 2 rounds later, that's going to be the flick of the day. 2 rounds later, no, that's going to be the flick of the day. Because it was a lot of individual play. Like, we saw that all day long. So, you know, looking at the individual plays that we saw throughout the tournament, it's tough to even just pick one.
Yeah. Definitely.
Right now, before we jump into that, we actually have an interview with Def, the MVP, the one and only Astra. Let's get up on the screen. Def, if you can hear me, first things first. You feeling good right now? Actually, Def, I have a serious question to ask you, man. Talking about XSET, and by the way, congratulations so far. You guys have been working your way up. People didn't have you mention of being one of the top teams going to Berlin. Do you guys feel pretty much a chip on your shoulder when being called an underdogs or an upset whenever you pull off these big wins like this to make a statement? You guys have been popping off lately.
Yeah, I think ever since I joined the team, we've been improving every single day. We definitely have a chip on our shoulder, just because we know we're in that contention of the top, at least the top 4, top 5 teams in NA. But I'm just really excited. We've got a group of guys here from different games. It's really cool to see that it's not just CS players thriving.
Love to see it. Now, speaking about the group of players that are on your team, one of the pickups that we all go crazy for here on this desk, especially Bach right next to me, we love the pickup of Zekken. Now, can you tell us why Zekken was one of the main guys that you all had your eyes on? What made him special and pop out to you?
Zekken is actually Marco, CEO of the company here. He actually went to a LAN that Zekken went to, and he just loved him. Zekken he's growing every single day. He seems to really know the fundamentals of just FPS games, so really excited for his future. Only 16, still in high school. Like, it's just crazy. Just his development is just going to be through the roof.
These kids are just crazy when it comes to these games, Def.
Correct.
Now, tomorrow, this is it. It's all come down to this. Probably the biggest game you guys have had in VALORANT so far. The winner goes to Berlin, but the only team that's standing before you is going to be Envy. Now, what are your thoughts about that roster, and do you guys feel comfortable about this matchup?
Yeah, Envy, look at all these guys. Envy are obviously one of the toughest teams right now. There's my pep talk. Yeah. Envy are obviously super solid. The addition of Ye is obviously quite scary for a lot of teams. But I don't think I've played Envy yet. Since joining this roster, so we're really excited to just get in the server. I think we're going to match up well against that team. We always struggle against the Risers that are kind of just slightly more random than Envy are. Envy are very strict in the way they play, so yeah, we're just taking every game, every day, and just going with it.
You're just taking it slow, one game at a time. I love that, Def. And actually, this is our first time speaking to each other, so I want to thank you for being amazing for this interview. By the way, your Astra play is just out of this world. But I'm going to leave this last segment up to you to just basically say what's up to the fans. Thank them for their support, and give us a reason why we should tune in tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, XSET Envy is going to be one of the biggest games. Going to Berlin, we want to go to a LAN so bad. So thank you all, everyone that's supporting XSET, obviously, and all the support staff that cheering us on every day. So yeah, we're just excited to get in that server and prove to people that we deserve the spot.
Listen, you guys definitely do. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you. You're a great guy and an even better player. And can't wait to see the games tomorrow. Get some good rest, and we'll see you tomorrow, all right?
Thanks a lot, Valley. Appreciate you guys.
All right, take it easy.
Bye-bye.
And bringing it back to the desk, fellas. Anything you picked up from that interview at all that we want to touch on?
And that's what gets him a spot on the roster.
Exactly.
It's like, I went to LAN and I bumped into this guy, and it just so happens that he's the CEO of a big esports org. And I was super nice to him. I gave him a sip of my slushy, and he was like, "You're on the team." Like, how does that does not happen? That's not how talent is typically scouted.
Yeah.
So I guess right place, right time for Zekken, and honestly, right place, right time for XSET as well.
Yeah. The same thing I think we talk about is just like that potential, right? I guess he saw a lot from Zekken, and it shows actually in this roster, and the humbleness from Def as well. Not have met Envy yet, and now is excited to actually face against them is going to be another good storyline.
He didn't just say Envy. He said, you know, I'm excited to see what Ye does.
True,
Like,
true.
the thing is, we're worried about Ye, but I think we should be worried about XSET as well. We saw what they did in the qualifier, but with things starting to close down here on the desk, any last thoughts, Vansili, starting off with you. Once again, day 2 has been great. We've been having a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, what I loved actually about today is that you talked about there was only 6 teams remaining, right? And they had to fight and give their best. Every single one of these series went 3 maps. Everybody fought hard, and unfortunately, 2 more had to go, right?
And unfortunately for you guys, I'm the only one that got the prediction right. So
Okay, relax. Bach, it's been a fun-filled day. Anything you want to get off your chest before we close out the desk?
You know, I think I already just said it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm honestly just incredibly excited about tomorrow.
Yeah.
Looking at the matchup with Envy, like I feel like that game is going to be absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
If we thought that the games today were good, that game is going to be amazing. I do expect tomorrow to be another map-filled day. I feel like we'll probably go 3 maps in every single series that we play across the day. Because even though I know people will always go, it's a seeding match, like it does matter. The team's #1 seeds, Last Master's got a bye in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a huge advantage when you're going into a tournament of that scope and scale. So that match definitely matters. Teams are going to be bringing everything into the series.
Yeah.
Yes, and with the bracket coming up shortly, let's talk about what's been going on. Day 1 was phenomenal. We saw 2 teams advance to qualify and represent North America over in Berlin, the Sentinels and 100 Thieves, but their route there wasn't the easiest. We saw teams rising up to the top, and the cream of the crop, so to say, Envy showed up in such a major way with their team changes, but it's not just them. We saw XSET rise up and surge, and those are going to be the last remaining teams. Who comes out on top? I'm not a betting man. This is going to be a very hard one right here. I feel like both of these teams are evenly matched. But when it comes to NA, we all know that we carry just the best out there in any region. So I'm excited to see who the victor is going to be to represent us as the 3rd team out there in Berlin, Germany. But that's pretty much it right here on the desk.
Actually,
Oh,
sorry to cut you,
Vance.
Belly.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we talked about good plays and unfortunately teams that are falling behind, but we actually totally forgot about the aim lab too, though. We got to talk about as well.
Oh, yes.
Flick of the day. We got
Excited about the
bypassed.
humbleness about
I blamed
Def,
Def.
right?
Def came in and he was like, "Oh, I've got this amazing British accent. I'm gonna make you forget about it."
Right. So
I'm gonna
the
roll
aim
you
lab
with
flick
this.
of the day.
Yeah.
Vansili, was there any play that
I
popped
got
off
it.
to you at all?
I got it. It was definitely that 2K that actually came in there from Derek. And I like to call him as Derek Overwatch, but of course, he's also welcome here in Valorant. He tried as much as he can on this 2 versus 1 to keep the string alive for Rise in this game. And to clutch that 2 versus 1 with Deathless on the spike, he's already halfway. He gets off it so that they can go for a double swing, and Derek is still able to clutch that one. I talked about the amount of times that Derek had to try to clutch to try to win rounds here for Rise. That was definitely one of them, but unfortunately, again, here, Belly, it wasn't enough.
And again, you could have picked so many plays just from that map alone in that series. There was also the 1v2 for Def. So, like, we saw a lot of plays like that across that map where it was just, like, individual performance stepping up. There was another play from Derek. He was back B site, and he guns down 3 as they try to take. That was, like, every round, I felt like. Every other round, I guess I'd say, was, like, a highlight reel play for one of the players in the server.
Yes.
So it's really tough to even just pick one out of the many plays that we got out of that map.
Yes, now with highlight plays happening left and right, we can't even call it right now. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to find out who the 3rd team is going to represent us overseas out there in Germany against the best of the best. We already know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's the first game of the day. It's going to be Sentinels versus 100 Thieves, but the finale of the day, that's going to be the beauty right there. The beautiful game to watch is going to be XSET versus Envy, and that's going to be the one that we are all going to have our eyes open for. And fellas, like I said before, when it comes to predictions, we're going to be extremely split on this desk. I can't wait to hear the banter and the back and forth. But today has been fun. Day 1 was amazing. Day 2 was even better. Day 3, we're bringing all the heat. But we're going to close on this desk right now. It's been a blast. My name is Veli, Bach, and Vansili. We're all going to sign out. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place. You know where to meet us. We'll catch you for some more Valorant action.